So we're going to start by talking about how to light a fire in your business, no matter where it is, whether it's in the start or whether it's you're already doing lots of business, and we know some of you already are doing lots of business. How can we tweak what you're doing a little bit to get you that 1 to 10% extra business that you're looking to get out of it? So I already kind of introduced us a little bit, but I'm going to do it again. My name is Garth. I'm one of the owners of Park Place. This is Austin. He also owns Park Place. This is Stuart. He owns a Park Place in Olympia. And Nate, who is on Zoom, owns our Park Place Spokane branch. And he is doing things virtually today, and he's going to be talking about social media because he is a master wizard of it. Yeah. So over the years, we've talked to, trained, and worked with and helped develop over 100 agents already. And we've basically helped them from absolutely nothing to being really high producing agents. And because of that, we've had the unique experience to know that every single agent has the exact same problem. All of them have the same one. And that's a really simple one to explain. It is one problem, and it's always the same problem. How do I run a successful selling business that's consistent and predictable? Because even if you're doing a transaction a month, how do you make it predictable? How do you make it scalable? How do you grow it? Because the biggest problem in our entire industry is the unpredictability of your transactions and your transaction flow and your referral network. Because say you work with a family member, you can't repeat that. Say you work with a friend, you can't repeat that unless you create it into a system. And that's what we're going to try to help you guys do today, is by walking you through a system of how to build your business based on wherever you're at today and whatever stage you're at. And so what we did is we broke it down to really basic levels today, and there's obviously more intricacies and there's more subsections inside of all this, but we're going to make it more overflow. And then on the inside of the resources that we're going to give you guys, there'll be a ton of more content that goes through all of the subsections of things that we explained that we're not going to get into all the details of today.
So kind of before we can jump into what types of things you need to be doing in your business to start getting more customers, we need to first identify what stage are you at? Because like Garth mentioned, we've talked to so many agents, and it just turns out that there's not one plan that just works for every single agent. It doesn't exist. And so before we can talk into the what, we need to figure out where you at currently in your business so that then we can dish out the plan for what you should be doing in each of these stages. So if you're a brand new agent, you're going to get a ton of value today. If you're an agent and you've been in the business for a little bit, you've closed some transactions, but you're not seeing that consistency that you're really wanting to get in your business, you're going to get a ton of value today. And I'll be honest with you, if you're a high producer, you're going to get value today because, well, you're going to see. So let's go ahead and hop into it.
So in a little bit at the end, we're going to have a partner of ours, Jordan, give a little presentation about why we use Endpoint here as well. He's bringing the pizza, so you got to be nice to him. Now we'll talk to him a little bit at the end. He'll explain why their platform's awesome and why we partner with them at Park Place. We'll talk about that at the end.
Perfect. Okay, so back to there's three different stages that we're breaking this into. There is actually more than 3 stages. What's up, Harold? So good to see you, brother. But there's more than 3 stages, but we're breaking it down tonight into 3 different stages. There's getting started. And so what this is you just got into the business. You're about to get into the business. You've gone into the business and been in it for a little bit, but haven't done anything. There's a little traction. So this means that you've closed a couple of deals, but you're not seeing that consistent result that you really want to be seeing. And then there's a lot of traction. And this isn't where it ends, but having a lot of traction is where you're making good money. Like money has not really it's not really a problem for you at this point in the business because everything is just flowing and working. And this is where every agent really wants to get to. You can go much further than this, but these are the 3 stages that we're going to be walking through tonight. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide here. And let's start with the getting started. So what do you do when you first get into the business and you have not closed anything and you're just trying to figure out what the heck do you do? You shouldn't know what to do because it's different for everyone. Like what works for Whitney is not going to work for Steve because they might have completely different personalities and they might have different strengths, and those things just what works for one isn't going to work for the other. So what you need to be doing when you first get into the business is anything and everything. And you cannot let up on this. You just cannot let up no matter what. until you figure out exactly what works for you time and time and time again. And so when you're first getting into business and you don't know what to do anything and everything until you figure out exactly what works for you. And in many cases, I'm just going to admit this person in real quick. In many cases, you're going to need to have reserves when you're first getting started in the business. You might need to have a part or full-time job too. That's completely fine, guys. Like when Garth first got started in the business, he jumped right in and just made things happen. However, on the other hand, when I first got started in the business, I worked a full-time job. I worked probably 50 hours a week when I was first getting into the business. It was just different for how we got into it. And this is where some of that self-awareness is really going to come into play here, where you need to be self-aware. Where are you today? What are the resources that you're working with? What is your life story? And then you need to figure out, do you need reserves or do you need to work a part of full-time job? If you do, that's completely fine. Let's move on to the next one.
So one of the big things is at this point, what you call traction will be different for different agents. So for you, that might mean you're getting a deal a month. For a different person, it might mean you're finally getting 3 deals a month. Obviously, that's going to be predicated on your lifestyle and the type of business that you're going to try to grow. All of your businesses are different, but the same holds true. You're now doing some business at a certain level, and the big question becomes, how do you grow it? And what we suggest that you do is take an actual audit of your business. Most agents are guilty of never doing this. And what we suggest that you do is walk through all of the transactions you've ever done and how you actually procured the transaction. If it was a referral, write down referral. If it was from an open house, write down open house. If it was from a cold call, write cold call. Whatever those are, and make a list and tally them and see where you're actually getting those tangible results from, the things that are actually making that bottom line difference, and then spend 80% of your entire time in your business working on those specific things. Because, for example, if 50% of your business is coming from an open houses, maybe you should be spending 80% of your time doing open houses because that's what's working for you. If 50% of your business is coming from social media, spend 80% of your time on social media. And the other 20% is trying new things and using other avenues to try to make more things work more efficiently as well. And so that's the big thing that you want to be doing at this stage.
I think Garth is right in mentioning what does it mean to have a lot of traction? Can we go back to that last slide real quick? What does it mean to have a little traction? If you don't feel like you have full control over your business, but you close some deals, you have a little traction. If you don't feel like you own your business and you're just cranking out deals to the amount that you need/want, and you're not getting that, then the problem is that you have a little traction. And so let's go ahead and go into the next one.
Now, the last stage is going to be when you have a lot of traction, right? And that's going to be you're doing a lot of business. You're doing all the business that you actually want. You're living the business that you truly wanted to build. And now you just want to tweak it. You want to make it a little bit better, more efficient, get more of your time back, and leverage more ability to have more of the time to do the aspects of your business that you actually enjoy and the aspects of your business that actually generate the income, which again points to the auditing. Most agents don't get to this level unless they effectively and efficiently audit their own businesses so that they can then scale the activities that they have that are the most productive. Yeah. And so that's the big thing there.
Kind of comes back a little bit to what do you want your life to look like as well, because you might not have a goal and a vision to sell 100 houses a year, but you don't have to have that. That's a ridiculous amount of houses to sell. Seriously, I don't know if I would want to do that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a lot of homes.
But it just comes down to kind of what you want and what you want to see in your business and in your everyday life. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So what are some of the things that you can be doing to get more clients? We're going to be breaking some of this down tonight. But just know there's a million different things that you can be doing to get clients. And again, back to the phases that we're talking about tonight. If you're just getting started in the business, you need to be trying anything and everything, right? But some of the ones that we're going to be focusing on tonight are cold calling and farming, open houses, email marketing, social media, And we're not going to talk about this one, but we just wanted to put it up here as a reminder to join our lead programs if you're here at Park Place, just because you can get consistent deals coming in from that.
And there is like 8 of them. We talk about this all the time, and really you should plug into all of them. They're completely free until you close those transactions. So get plugged into all of them that you can.
And all of these categories are categories that we've completely owned in our business. And so that's why we're talking about them, is because we've actually gotten the tangible results that you really want to get. And I think that that's super important that we're talking about these tonight, just because they're things that we've actually done as well. So with that being said, let's go a little bit deeper into how to perform an audit.
Yeah. So a big thing is, like I said, you want to lay out every single transaction you've ever closed. And then I want you to actually write them all down. It's really that simple, right? I mean, who here has ever done that? Okay. So some of you do that, and
He's not even licensed.
Yeah, you're not even licensed.
I'm kidding.
No, I'm kidding.
You all
So
thought.
that's
No,
the-
what?
but most people.
Oh my gosh,
don't
everybody
do
just
that.
left Zoom.
And that's okay. No, it's okay that most people don't do that, because most people are never told to do it, right? But it's the only way you can create predictable results in your business, because this business is a people business. How do you scale people? And that's a hard thing to do unless you know where your strengths lie and where your weaknesses lie.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything without performing an audit on your own business first.
So just to kind of bring that home real quick, what you do is you pull up every single deal that you've closed. If you have a little bit of traction in your business and you've closed some deals, but nothing consistent, even if you've done a lot of deals, pull up everything that you've closed and write down, where did that deal come from? And what you're going to, and something weird happens when you write it down. I know people have said that before, but it's true. When you write it down, you're going to start to see like, oh my gosh, a large part of my business came from open houses. Maybe I need to spend more time there. So that's the first step, but that's the easy thing to do. Like anybody can do this part, right? Here's where people fall off the map, is that they sit down, they do that audit on their business. They have the realization of where their deals are coming from, but then they do not do this. They don't spend 80% of their time on it. They simply learn where their deals are coming from, and then they just go off and do whatever they want to do. They don't spend the time doing the activities that got them all the transactions that they have. So once you do that audit and you figure out what it is, you got to make a change, and you got to start spending time doing those activities as well. So,
and of course, if a transaction on that list, as you're telling them through, isn't something that's repeatable, if it's your brother or your sister or your mom or your dad, unless you have 50 moms and dads, that's not something that's repeatable or scalable. And so don't even count it on your list,
and
because you can't make sure that it'll happen again.
And if all of your deals came from non-controllable situations, all of them came from that source, you need to treat it as if you're in the getting started phase, and you need to be doing anything and everything until you figure out what is going to work for you time and time again. So we're not going to pause. We're going to keep going on with this, but I just want to let everyone know that Jordan with Endpoint, if you're here in Federal Way, has arrived with pizzas. So there are pizzas in the kitchen. Right, Jordan?
Yes, and yes, if you're close to Federal Way, please come by. There is a lot of pizza.
All right.
There is.
Spokane, we'll save some stuff for you. And if you're on Zoom, get over here. We didn't tell you there was going to be pizzas, but if you guys want to circle back there, feel free to. It's not going to throw us off by any means. So
No, you can't do that. We need you.
kind of need you, dude. All right, let's go ahead and hop on to the next one. So I'll go ahead and just start on this one, and Garth, I'll have you elaborate on this. So if you're one of the agents that has a lot of traction in your business, you're not looking to do all of these crazy things. You don't need to increase the amount of hours that you're working. You don't need to do 50,000 open houses. Like, you already have a lot of traction in your business. What you're looking for at this stage, in most cases, are minor tweaks that are really going to make the difference in your business. You're not looking to do anything crazy. You need those couple adjustments that are going to make you a couple % more efficient. And that's where a lot of the profit is going to come into play.
So the first main thing you can do for that is leveraging your actual brand. If you're a Park Place agent, you already have a brand that we created for you. The next step is creating a specific, highly customized, personalized website, leveraging that brand that we created for you. And if you're at Park Place, you actually get a special deal with Luxury Presence to have that created at a super, super steep discount, looking as good as our entire office website for your personal brand. If you're looking to do that, reach out to us. We can hook you up with them, and you get like a ridiculous discount. It's like $1,000 or something for a crazy fully optimized website. It's super, super cool. But the biggest difference that we found for agents that are already doing a lot of business is you can actually take that brand and that quality put together, dialed in website, and instead of sharing things like Zillow or Redfin on your social media pages and pointing them to other agents, you can point them back to yourself, back to your own calling card, back to your own brand, back to your own IDX feed. And by the way, the search engines and the map functions and everything inside the websites that we've developed are just as good as a platform as Redfin and Zillow. So if you actually hop onto our IDX feeds, you'll see that it is just as easy as a user experience as Redfin or Zillow or any of those other competitor sites. So you can actually have that embedded into your own personal site as well. And inside of the listings that you create, you can actually create the property brand that we tell you all to make. And that can make a massive difference in the amount of referrals that you get.
So here are the
So-
next two. A couple other things you can be doing is if you're, and this is for people that have a lot of traction in their business. And if you're closing a lot of deals, you might not have time to be all over social media and coming up with content and stuff. And so what can come into play is hiring an agency. You guys have seen our social media probably at this point. Garth and I are really busy and we're running the company and we're trying to take care of all of our agents and all that kind of stuff. We don't have as much time to just be doing 24/7 content creation. And so we've actually partnered with Brantegic. And so they help us by doing photo shoots, creating graphics, posting our social media. We partner with them and we do calls with them on a weekly basis. And if you have traction in your business, maybe it's not hiring an agency to do that. Maybe it's hiring a photographer to take you out and get some lifestyle photos so that you have some consistent content that you can be posting. Maybe it's grabbing a fellow agent and just going, you don't even have to hire a photographer. You can just grab another agent that you're friends with. You guys can go to a couple different locations, get some photos. Now you have some content that you can be posting about for the next couple of months. Then the next one is hiring an assistant, transaction coordinator, or a showing agent. The key element here is we need to get some of that time back for you when you're at this stage. When you have a lot of traction, you don't need to be spending more time. You need to be getting your time back, and you have the money to actually pay to get that time back. This is one way that can be and has proven to be highly effective when you're doing this.
And depending on what you like, what you're good at, and what gets you more business, do and don't do some of these things.
Yeah.
For example, I have specifically taken the direction of not hiring a specific, like a listing prep organizer or a listing marketer or anything along those lines, even though a lot of people at my point of business would do something like that, because I like to have my hand in every single piece of that specific process. And that's what I do to actually explain to my sellers why they should work with me as opposed to all the other highest producing agents, because I don't farm out that. So it depends on the way that you want to run your business. And some of that hands-on client to agent relationship, you don't want to necessarily farm out. But farming out that back end stuff that's really just grunt work, that's repeatable and you can train somebody to do, that's the stuff that you mostly want to focus on getting off of the table at that point.
100%. And then you can create processes to automate repetitive tasks, kind of like what Garth is saying is, you know, for example, whenever I have a new listing, I've created like this little Google form that I fill out and it automatically does a lot of things for me as far as my listing prep for listing a property goes. So it'll generate like a checklist for me so I can keep up to date on, okay, did I do photos yet? Did I do video if I'm doing that 3D walkthrough? And I can check things off as I go. It also creates like a set of folders where I can put in the photo, the video, something that I share with the client nice and easy. And so that's something that I was just doing myself time and time again. And this is something that I just found out a way to like quickly automate that. So you can start be thinking like that when you're at this stage, because again, now I don't have to ever do that. I just fill out a form and that's done. And I bought that time back and now it's mine forever, basically.
And of course, automating your email drips and email campaigns to your sphere and your leads as well. And we're going to hop into some of that a little bit as well today, but automating that process. And that way you're not creating it all the time. You could sit down, do it once and be done for a year. And that's the way that you, at that point, need to start running your business to tweak it and elevate it a little bit more.
So if you guys are like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff that we're talking about, we are. What we just got done talking about is the different stages that you're actually at in your business. So figure out which of those that you're in. We're getting ready to get into some of the tactical stuff that you can be doing based on the stage that you're in. But just know that we put together an extremely helpful and detailed resource guide that we'll be sending out at the end of this event. It's going to walk through the exact hows. Like tonight, what we're talking about is the what, but if I pulled up the computer and tried to show you some technical stuff on how to set up some email stuff, it wouldn't make any sense for everyone. And so what we did is in advance, we put this guide together where it has detailed videos and content that you can follow along with. So when you're done with this event, you're not going to feel like you got hyped up, which is great. And then you left, and then tomorrow you're like, oh, wait, what do I do? I don't know what to do. You're going to have a guide that you can look back and refer to this content and work through the process so that you can move the needle in your business. The only reason that we're doing this tonight is because you're here and this is where your business is and you need to move it in this direction, and that's what you want to do. So our goal is to hopefully give you some information that you can take, apply to your life, and move that business a little bit forward tonight.
And
So
with that, we're going to have a ton of resources, from scripts to Canva templates for postcards to
Lots of stuff.
videography to a book that explains the back end of stuff to how to do the opens to how to do everything in specific
super
detail. And today we're going to go over like the more of the higher level view of what you should be doing and how. And then we'll be in the resources, we'll be getting into all the granular.
And if you're on Zoom, if you can type into the chat, let us know you're still with us and that you're still alive.
How many people we got on Zoom? Like 20?
Yeah.
24? Cool.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Everybody's still with
All
us.
right. So I'm going to get going by talking to you guys about farming and cold calling. And in most of the time, people wouldn't normally equate the two, but for me, they're the same thing, because what I do is I'm not on a call unless I'm in a farm or it's already a client. Like, I'm not picking up the phone personally to randomly call people in random neighborhoods or areas that I've never heard of, spoke to, know the address of, know the neighborhood of, because that's a true cold call for me. I want to cold call my farm. And that is the only effective way that I've found to properly cold call. So, but I'm going to get into farming and then a little bit of cold calling, and then we'll move on to the next subsection. So let's hop right in. All righty. So here's a few examples of homes that I listed specifically from farming. To give you an example why I'm the one talking about this specifically, I think this year I will have done somewhere near 7 or 8 transactions specifically just from farming and cold calling specific neighborhoods.
And great price homes.
And they're all at great price homes from 700 to 1.23 million, something along that level. And it's the homes that everybody wants in the South King, North Pierce region. And in this specific neighborhood, I own about a 40% market share because of the way that I market and farm and specifically go about my activities to generate full relationship with the community, because that's what you're doing. At its core, if you're creating relationship with a community, you're going to get the results of the transactions in the community. So what's a farm? If for all of you that are brand new, a farm is something that a geographic area, a neighborhood, a set of homes, maybe it's 200 homes, maybe it's 300, no more than 500. 500's the cap. Never do more than 500, not because you will not do it properly and sustainably, at least at first, not without scale. So start with about 200 to 300 homes. And what you're going to do is you're going to saturate them with your marketing materials over and over and over again, from flyers to calls to door knockings to if there's a house that comes on the market, you're going to be sitting that open. And we're going to get into all that. But effectively, it's a geographic area that you are deciding is going to be where you sell your homes. And how do you pick it initially? Number one, if you live in a neighborhood that has homes that are owned and actually people own them, or a condominium neighborhood where people actually own the condos, that is the first place that you want to farm, because you live there, you are intimately familiar with the area, you know the walkability, you know the stores, the restaurants, the grocery stores, the entertainment nearby. You could maybe even hop onto the HOA board if you're a part of it. That's a big key if you wanted to really get it inside of a neighborhood. So that's how you pick it. If you live in one, do that. If you don't live in a neighborhood or you're renting or you're in an apartment, what I want you to do is look up the MLS, find areas of price points that are workable, that you think that you'll be able to work. If you've done no business before, start with a price point that's near the beginning price point of the market. Maybe if you're in Federal Way, like $500,000, $600,000 homes, If you're in Puyallup, maybe $500,000 homes, something like that. If you're in Renton, maybe $800,000 homes, because that's what it costs to buy one today. But whatever it is, pick like the starting price of homes, find a neighborhood that doesn't have a specific agent that sells all the homes. So find a couple hundred homes, look at all of the past sales history, and make sure that a specific agent doesn't already sell half of the homes in that specific neighborhood. If they do, it's going to be extremely difficult to get your foot in the door and have any traction. Pick a different one. And once you have a neighborhood, or in other words, a couple hundred homes where there isn't an agent that already has a big market share ownership of, that's the new farm that you're going to go after. Now you've picked it. Now we move into what we do. No. So you start planting seeds. You want to start with a letter. My big claim to fame is I actually write a letter. And you can write a letter to every single one of the individual owners, because again, you're only doing 200 to 300. You should intimately know every single house. You should know when they bought it. You should know the people. You should have them in a spreadsheet. And this is going to get this can get super granular. Like you could pull them up on Ben Verified and find out how old they are, how long they've lived there, what they do as an occupation, what's their social media accounts, because you can find all of that through Ben Verified. And you can get attached into social media neighborhood watches. You can get into social media buy, sell, trade networks, things like that. And if you're involved in all of those, you're going to start getting stuff. So start by number one, letter with a beautifully done brochure. And it can be a generic brochure, but what I like to do is make it specific to that neighborhood, make it super specific to the neighborhood, and then write the personal letter and slip it inside of that brochure. And then give that to every single person. That's the foyer into the neighborhood. Nobody's ever heard of you. Now everybody's heard of you at least once. The next question is a phone call. So you've only done one thing. Now you're given a phone call. Hey, I just want to let you know I dropped something off at your door. Thank you so much. Maybe you're new to the neighborhood or whatever. Maybe you've been in the neighborhood for a long time, or maybe you're just deciding to farm that neighborhood and just say, hey, look, I'm an agent in your area and I'd love to help you if the time ever comes, blah, blah, blah. Super simple script, something like that. And then as time goes on, every single 2 weeks, drop something off in the mail to every single person in that neighborhood, or drop something off at the doorstep to every single person in that neighborhood. And then every 3 months, you're calling everybody in that neighborhood at least once just to say hi. After the initial phone call, the goal is try to learn something about their life and then bring it back up again. For example, I bought my personal house and that's not on there, but again, that was from farming and it was off the market. It was an off-market transaction and they called me. Well, actually, I'd called them about 4 times. I dropped off letters and brochures and flyers, and then I called them up again and I said, hey, how's Callie doing? I know she was headed off to Colorado because she was going to play softball there. Did she end up getting that scholarship? Because again, all of this was on my CRM. And they said, yeah, she did. She is heading off to Colorado and we're about to head over to Oklahoma, actually. And unfortunately, we're going to have to sell our house now. We didn't know if it was going to be this year or next year, but I guess it's going to be this year. Boom. But again, don't call for no reason. So you have to, with those phone calls, have a place to make a note of what they're talking about so you can relate it in your next conversation. Now, you're doing all these phone calls and you're doing all these flyers and brochures. The next big thing is if anything happens in the neighborhood, if it's not your listing, call the agent. Ask to hold it open anyways. And then now you have another reason to call everybody, to invite them to your open, invite them to meet you, and another reason to give flyers to the neighborhood. Again, and then if something happens in that neighborhood, maybe it goes pending or it sells, you be the agent to send it out. Say, hey, this house went pending. It doesn't have to be yours. Just say, hey, this house went pending that was on the market. This house sold that was on the market, and this is how much it sold for. And that's it. Just be that expert that's the one saying everything that's happening in their neighborhood, the local statistics and everything. And that's how it all starts. So that's the basic foundation of a farm. And how do you do the cold call? So that's the other question. Like, well, I'm on the phone, I have the phone dialed. What do I do? What do I say? How do I engage in conversation with a random person? That's the next big question. And the fastest way to answer that is by using cold call tools. There's 4 of them here. The Red X, Mojo, Phone Burner, and Air Call are all different options to call as dialers or multi-line dialers or what have you. I personally use Red X. I like the Red X a lot because it allows me to specifically get a geographic area, pull those specific phone numbers, and have multiple lines dialing at the same time, which is time efficient for me.
And we'll have,
And it allows for links, which is, here's the coolest part about this. It allows for links. It says what their address is. It allows a place for notes for all the times that you've called them. It tells you all the times you've called them, and it links to like a Zillow and a Trulia profile to their house. So if you click it and you can't remember which house it is in the neighborhood, because again, you should walk these houses. You should know them intimately. You can click on that and it'll show you a quick picture of it and jog your memory about which house you're talking about again. So that's very helpful.
we'll have everything linked in the resources. So don't worry, like all of these tools that we're mentioning, everything
They'll
that
all
we
be in the
use,
resource.
everything will be in the resource.
Now, another big farming tip is using scripts. Obviously, when you're cold calling, you don't want it to sound robotic and you don't want it to sound really random, but the fastest way to do something to ingrain it in yourself is to create bullets, because bullets aren't going to be robotic. You have main points that you want to hit. Hey, I'm Garth and I'm a real estate agent and I'm going to help sell homes in this neighborhood. And if you need help, that done. And ask them a specific question about their lives or their time. Or how long they're going to stay there, or the timeline they've been there, how long they've lived there, whatever. Ask them a specific question to learn about their life. Maybe those are the only 4 things that you have to get done, but make sure you at least get those bullet points done every single call. So that's number 1. Number 2, always call with a reason. So after the first call can be introductory. After that, if you're not calling with purpose, it feels really awkward. It feels like a sales call. It feels bad, and you will lose rapport with those clients. So what you need to do is call with purpose, call with a reason, call with an update about a home in the neighborhood that just went pending. Call with the fact that you're holding that open house. Call with the fact that you have a buyer that happens to be looking for their house, actually, because you've been doing open houses at similar price points in other neighborhoods and you found a buyer, and now you have a buyer that wants that type of house. So you might as well call them and give them that information. And now again, you're the expert and you're the professional, right? And so doing all of that, you have to make sure that you're using a CRM. If you're not using a CRM and putting in every single detail, you're wasting your time by even following up with them, because you will not be able to remember 200, 300 people, plus your family, your friends, and everybody else that you're working with, and all of the job that you're supposed to do, and all of the transactions and the process that you're working with as well. You're not going to remember. So you have to be using a CRM, and we're going to hopefully have updates with a new cool software system we're going to be coming out with soon. Austin will tell you more about that later today. But the biggest thing is you have to continue the follow-up until you get the transaction. The second that you get a transaction, it's asking referrals, right? Say you get that first transaction in the neighborhood, it's asking for one person. That's the biggest trick with referrals. It's not asking for, do you know anybody? Do you know one person? Because everybody knows their neighbors, at least their localized neighbors. They know a couple of them. You know one person nearby that's going to do something. Oh yeah, Bob's been doing something. I saw he would. I'll give you a direct example. Across the street, I had a sellers, and they're like, "Oh, do you know anybody that's selling their house?" No, not really. Okay. I asked them another time. Hey, do you know anybody in the neighborhood that's going to do something? No, not really. 3 times. On the 4th time, I asked them, hey, have you seen anything that's different? Do you think anybody's going to sell their house? On the 4th time, they said, well, yeah, actually, the neighbor across the street there was pressure washing their driveway, and it's February. That's weird. I think they're getting ready to do something. They've never done that in February before. And so I said, okay, great. I'm going to go to their house. Boop, boop, boop. That day, stop by their house. Oh yeah, we're selling. We want to sell next month. It was a $1.1 million house. And they're like, yeah, we'd love to interview you. That sounds great. And so it's, even if somebody says no, that doesn't mean no. It just means no, not right now, or no, we don't trust you enough yet, or no, we haven't seen your process enough. No, we don't believe that your process for your business is repeatable enough to prove success for someone else as well. Because it's just like a restaurant. I'm not going to refer you to a restaurant I don't absolutely know will deliver. Even if I had a good experience, if I think that it might not be good for you, I won't tell you about it, right? And it's the same thing. So that's why we use pivotal moments to ask for referrals. Right when you get the listing signed, I ask for a referral. Right when you do the marketing and advertising and drone footage and videography, and you're doing all the super cool stuff, and they're like, what the heck's going on? This is awesome. This is different. Ask for a referral. Right after you go pending, referral. Right after you hit inspections, overwin, referral. Right after you get the positive appraisal report, ask for the referral. Right after the close, ask for a referral.
We're like on our 8th deal
and
right now from like a
From referral, we have a
tree.
referral chain.
I don't even know what's happening, but it's just like deal after deal
after
keeps
deal
coming
after
from
deal.
asking.
Because we are so intentional about asking. And in the farming world, everybody knows at least a couple neighbors. Everybody knows one neighbor that's doing something. And the second that you get your foot in the door, now you have something to talk about every single time to that neighborhood. You have, this just went live, this just went pending, this just went sold. And then plus your regularly appointed regular ads, flyers, brochures, and relational building inside the community. And you can create a very firm hold on a neighborhood very quickly if you do it this way. So now, what we're going to give you are links to cold calling tools, all those tools that I already showed with some scripts. We're going to give you some cold calling scripts, like I said, and some bullet pointed scripts that are effective for all of these situations. And we're going to give you some postcard templates that are already pre-done in Canva that are easy to just throw new photos in and throw a little text over, but pre-done, beautifully done Canva templates as well. So you can be doing those as well. The other big thing that I like to do is I like to use actual flyer templates. So if you already are plugged into Park Place at least, then you can go into our Express Docs hub and use our Canva templates for our bifolds. And those I use regular flyers, like regular listing flyers, but then I'll utilize multiple different listings that speak to a specific type of home or price point demographic or what have you, whatever I'm farming specifically. So that's what I would do. And so without further ado, that is the overlook of farming and cold calling. What we're going to go into now is open houses. Stuart specifically, when he joined Park Place, he hadn't done a ton of business, but then he hopped into Park Place and learned of our open house strategy and made it even better and honed in on it and made it really something that's refined and built an entire, really big business off of specifically open houses. And now he owns our Park Place Olympia branch, all because of his ability to properly run and operate open houses and actually get clients from them. There's a big difference between holding them and getting clients from them. And he's going to tell you how to do that today.
Heck of an intro. Thank you.
Everybody clap, mandatory clap. Everybody's clapping because they want to.
So yeah, I joined up with Park Place. They gave me a basic bullet point strategy on how to do open houses. I went from really struggling and actually almost getting out of real estate. I had pretty much decided to quit. And this was my kind of last shot. I'll go for open houses again. And I actually managed to build a business. My first year doing open houses with this strategy, I closed at least one deal a month, if not more. That being said, I took it to a whole new level, delved extremely deep into it. So I'll kind of get into that. These are a few closings that have come from open houses. Honestly, the biggest part is doing the work, getting the numbers down. Don't just go out there and do 3 or 4 open houses in a couple months. I did in 2019 alone, 493 open houses. It was a ton of work.
That's a lot of open houses, guys.
I took 3 weekends off that entire year. Every other weekend, I did 8 to 10, if not 12 open houses. So scheduling that, usually I'll do 3 days. I'll do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 2 open houses on Friday, 4 on Saturday, 4 on Sunday. And if I'm feeling ambitious, I'll do 2 more on Monday. So each one, usually I'll try to keep it to about an hour and a half. The reason for that is, for one, it creates a little bit of a sense of urgency for buyers to actually get in the door. If you do a 4, 6, 8 hour open house, I'll get to it. I got plenty of time. Next thing you know, something comes up. They never show up. You're the short open house. I want to see that house. I got to get there when it starts so I don't forget about it and I can actually get in the door. That also leaves you about half an hour to an hour to get your open house broken down. Maybe there's some people that are there late. You can break it down, move on to the next house, set that one up in about 15 minutes. Doesn't take a whole ton of time to turn on the lights, get everything ready, do that open house and move on to the next one. Ideally, you're going to be scheduling vacant open houses. Makes it a lot easier if they're vacant. You don't have to worry about the sellers forgot about the open house and they're still in the house. They had breakfast that morning and it was really stinky and never cleaned up. That has happened. It was disgusting. Also, helpful tip, never
Smith's
open the
house.
fridge.
No, I'm kidding.
It was, no.
Oh.
Helpful tip, never open the fridge when you're doing an open house, especially on a vacant house. Because that can also stink up the property. Honestly, when you're scheduling the open houses, the easiest thing is to treat the listing agent nicely. If you can get on the phone with that listing agent, have a great conversation with them, build a relationship, let them know that you're competent and know what you're doing and you're going to treat people that come through the door well, they're going to be really likely to let you do open houses more often, especially if they're not an agent at your current firm. Again, there's more information on this, on exactly how to handle the phone call in the resources, that word, yeah. If you can't really fill your schedule, I really just make sure you have something else going on that day so that you can keep your business going. Sweet. So again, same as when you have the first phone call with that agent, always have a great attitude when you're hosting the open houses. It can get boring, it can get monotonous, it can get really irritating when people are walking through the door, won't talk to you. Have a smile on your face right when they walk in the door. Greet them. I would say shake their hand, but COVID. So just give them a big smile and maybe an elbow bump. You never know. I really like to just say, hey, what's the most important room of the house for you? Where do you want to start? I don't give them the option of just go look through the house and I'll stand here in the kitchen and wait for you. I want to give them an experience. I want them to walk through the house and feel special. So as we're walking through the house, I'm kind of going over, oh, how long have you guys been looking? When do you want to get into a house? All of those details that make it personal to them. And I try to do as little talking as possible. I just want to ask a question, let them answer. And try to ask a lot of questions that make them answer yes. Because you're programming them to yes, yes, yes. And then when you get to the end of it and you're asking them, you want to go to the next one?
Sure.
And the next one, because I already touched on that too.
Okay.
When you get to the end and you're asking them, hey, I want to go ahead and do a buyer's consultation with them. Do you have time to do a quick 5-minute buyer's consultation before you head out the door? Have you ever done a buyer's consultation? Sweet. Most of the time, you've been programming them the whole time by asking them questions that they're saying yes to. Oh yeah, sure. And they didn't even think about it. Great. I've got my laptop pulled up in the kitchen for you. Let me just take you through, take 3 to 5 minutes, just outline the process for you. And for first-time home buyers, that's huge because most of them have no clue what they're getting into. It's the biggest purchase they've ever made in their lives. And they feel like they're being thrown into the deep end and they don't know how to swim. So you're connecting emotionally with that buyer because you're giving them value. And then they see you as the expert. Even if you don't know what you're talking about, the slides that we've put together, which will also be in the resources, I like saying it. The slides that we put together, we'll walk you through it. So even if you've never done a transaction, just stick close to the slides and you can fake it till you make it. It's easy. Yeah. I also never carry paper business cards to an open house because it's really easy to just reach into your pocket and hand it off to them and say, oh, here's my contact info, give me a call. Because then who's in control there? They are. You're sitting by your phone waiting for them to call you. So what I'll do is I'll just pull out my phone. Oh, hey, Nancy, what was a good number for you? I'd love to give you a call here soon and just give you any more information I can, anything like that. If they don't answer within the first 3 to 5 seconds, I'll start it for them. It's 253, right? And then they just, oh no, it's actually 206 or it's 42, it gets them going and gets that answer. You get the phone number, great. Right as they walk out the door, it was great meeting you guys. Have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. If you really, really want to nail them down and the house isn't busy, you don't have other people in there, pull out your phone and take a 2-second video. Hey guys, really nice to meet with you today. So happy you could stop by my open house. I look forward to talking to you in the future. If you have any other homes in the area that you're interested in, give me a call. I'll schedule it up and let you walk through the house so you can get an idea of what's going on there. Leave the video, send it to them over text, boom, you just lock them down. Yeah, again, we got the resources. It'll walk you through a lot more in depth of how to actually schedule the open houses and how to pick the right houses. I think we pulled up the MLS and walked you through all that. Go over exactly how to have that conversation with the agent on how to do an open house and how to schedule with them, and then how to prepare for the opens the day before. Don't go to a rager on Thursday night, Friday night, and show up to an open house.
Don't go bar hopping. Let's go.
No, don't show up hungover to an open house.
Would you like to start in the kitchen? Don't do that.
I might need to start in the bathroom. I feel kind of queasy.
Yeah. Might as well.
Awesome. I'm going to pass it off to Austin here. He's going to go over
Alright.
email marketing.
All right, let's go, guys. So good to be with all of you guys. We're gonna be talking about email marketing next and why I freaking love email. I get to literally sit in front of my computer.
Nerd.
Yeah, nerd. Yeah, nerd that makes great money. Let's go. And I love it because I get to sit behind my computer, shoot out some little emails. Hey, how you doing? And with that being said, deals come from it. I'm not kidding. We've closed so many deals this year just from sending out cold emails. And so I'm going to walk you through my exact formula that we use on a daily basis to send out cold emails. And I'll be honest with you, like we're busy running the company. We have to take care of our agents. And so I'm not sending out a ton of cold emails right now, but from the deals we've closed this year, it's been a lot. And so I'm going to walk you guys through what the strategy is, what you need to be doing. This is the most technical thing that we're going to go through tonight. So I'm not going to even talk about any of the technical stuff because we already threw it in the resource. So let's go ahead and go into the next slide. So dude, this is nothing. Like this is nothing. But anyway, so what you're going to see here is this property was 335,000. This property was 1.1 million, and this property was 1.6 million dollars. And the reason why I bring that up and I want you guys to know about that is because email doesn't just work for one price or one location or one area. This was all over the map of Washington State and different price points in all of Washington.
That's just so far this year, and that's not all.
That's without even, that's like 2 months of sending cold emails probably. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we've broken this down into 3 different stages that you go through during the cold email process. There's the entry point. So what this is the very first email that you send to a seller, and you're basically going to be saying, hello, how are you doing? I'm going to walk through the main strategy that I would be using when you're sending out your email, but it's the first contact that you make to the seller when you're reaching out. Follow up. This is like the longest part of it. You're going to be sending consistent emails. You cannot forget about this. You have to keep sending them content, keep letting them know that you're an agent and that you do lots of business. And then ultimately we want to get to conversion, and this will happen. So let's go ahead and go into the next slide. A great entry point is going after homes that you already have a buyer for. So multiple different strategies that you can be going through when you're sending out these emails. But the easiest one and the one that we use most frequent, we target homes that we already have a buyer for because it's super easy to reach out to a seller and say, hey, I'm working with some people that actually want to sell their house or that want to buy your house. Would you be interested in meeting them and meeting me? And let's see if we can make a deal happen here.
And this is why all of these work so perfectly together. You do the open houses like Stuart said, after doing the farming like I said, and you do the emails like Austin's saying, because you got the buyer from the open.
We got like a
getting the
tornado
people from the
type thing
farming,
going on.
And then you get the client from the email.
All right, let's go.
And then you get the referrals because you're asking for those 12 times.
There you go. Okay, so these are the tools that we're going to use. We have links to all of them. We actually get you some discounts on some stuff if you end up signing up for it. But this will be covered in the resource. But what you're going to need is a custom domain. You're going to need Lemlist, which is an email marketing tool. You're going to need Flowdesk, a different type of email marketing tool. Ben Verified is to get data. Data 24/7 is to get data. Cole Realty Resources is expensive, but it's a way to get data at scale. And then you need to verify the emails with Million Verifier. A little bit of technical talk there, but we'll be covering it later. Let's go to the next slide. So the process to get started. Now, if you're not good with technology, maybe this isn't like the first route that you're going to want to go down. But hey, if you're okay with tech and you think like, hey, this could be a good avenue for you and you have a little bit of money, this is the most expensive route to go, maybe besides farming. So you'll need a little bit of money to do it as well. So keep that in mind. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up a custom domain using Google Workspace. I'm going to walk you through that. Flowdesk and Lemlist, we need to get those things set up. We need to warm up your domain, probably something that most of you aren't even familiar with. You can't just start sending emails with a brand new domain. They're always going to go to spam. You have to warm up that domain, and there is a scientific process, like literally a data scientific process you have to go through in order to get those things warmed up so that they land in the inbox and the client actually sees it. So we're going to warm up your domain. We need to build a list of leads. We need to verify the leads. We need to send the first email, and then we need to continue to follow up. So in the resource, I walk you guys through how to do all of that in detail. Even if you have never even used the computer, you might even still be able to figure it out following along in the resource. So let's go to the next slide here. So I want to just read this through. It's too small on this screen for me to read, so I'll read it over here. This is an example of an entry point email. I'll read it out loud. The subject is first name, question for you about address. Hi, first name. My name is Austin Hamoka. I'm a real estate agent with Park Place Properties. I know you're busy, so I'll be quick. I'm reaching out because I have some buyers looking to buy a home like yours, 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, 3+ bedrooms, quality neighborhood. If you've been thinking about selling, my clients would love to see the home and make you an attractive offer. Thank you. Now you can take this, edit it, adjust it, make it yours. But like, this is like the basic bones and framework that you should be using when you're making that first outreach to a seller, if you're following along with the strategy that we use. Let's go to the next. This is an example of a follow-up. So what happens is, once we send out that entry point email, and there's ways to do this inside of the tools, if they open your first email, your first couple emails that you send to them, you want to continue to send that email address multiple emails every so often. So maybe you want to send emails out on a weekly basis, a bi-weekly basis, monthly basis. That's not really often enough. Bi-weekly or weekly, it's somewhere in there is what you'll want to do. But this is an example. So, and this is a property that we sold. First name, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to let you know that I just closed on Onyx. Onyx was the name of a property. That's different. Most agents don't name their properties. And then it has a link to all of the media that we did. It sold for $18,000 above our listed price. In addition to a great price, I was able to get my sellers a 30-day rent back at no cost. In short, they received their funds from the sale and now get to stay in their home for an additional 30 days. This unique element makes for an extremely smooth transition in this market. Getting a rent back is doable. The main caveat is you have to understand how to negotiate for one up front. If you know of anyone that could use my help and is contemplating a move, I would greatly appreciate it if you would forward them this email. So what you're seeing in this, and this was sent through Lemlist, and you guys will see how to set that up, but you're seeing a lot of text. Yes, there is an image and that's cool and stuff, but it's not like a MailChimp email that you send out that has like lots of graphics and lots of color backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. This is like kind of like personalized text. And so that's one element that we're using. We use the other element as well, but this is like to get some story behind just selling a house. Because if you're just sending sold, and they're coming in and the emails maybe look nice and maybe you made it and you're like, oh, this looks great, I love this. They're not going to think that for some reason. I wish they did, because it would make our job a lot easier. They don't even care. They don't care if you pick the right color schemes or anything like that half the time.
So
And
sometimes the text has much better result. And if you're not an agent that has a big track record or a lot of marketing that's happening in a lot of transactions that are happening, you can use any of our solds, any of our pending or actives at Park Place. We're super media friendly. So everything that we're doing is totally usable to you. If you're not at Park Place, ask your company if they do that. Most don't, but we do. So
I haven't done a deal in 3 years. I just use all of Garth's deals. No, I'm kidding.
It's true.
Oh, no, it's not. All right, let's go to the next. So that's one example of a follow-up, people. This is the best email I will ever show you, because literally I have been on the other side. I've received and sent this email like tons of times. And this is where you're about to rake.
that's a real email.
This is where you're going to rake in the cash. It's simple. It's kind of dumb, but we've been in conversation with this person. We've actually seen them in person and did an appointment with them. They want to sell. They're going to sell. It's just a matter of time now. And hi, Betsy, just wanted to touch base with you. What are your plans with your home and Fed? Thank you. And this is a person who ended up responding back. Yes, I'm selling. I'm going to be back. I'm going to be doing the bathroom remodel. Let's reconnect when I'm back in town with it. Some version of this is what I've seen many times right before the conversion happens. So if you're sending out these emails, you're close. You're super close, and this is where you want to get to. Now let's show you a quick preview of what another follow. So that was like a follow-up with a specific person. We do use flashy looking emails as well, because they're necessary. You can't just send like a 10 paragraph long story every single week. People are going to get upset with that and be like, dude, I don't care. I don't care. Like, sometimes you got to show them that you are doing great quality work. And so what you'll see here, this is in Flowdesk, super cheap, like super cheap. You guys get a discount. It's only $20 a month to use this tool. And you can like have templates and stuff in there. Every time you get a listing, you can just send it out to that list, and they're going to see this. And so this is the other thing that we're using as well. So thank you guys so much. What you're going to get in the resources is how to buy and set up a custom domain, how to work with Lemlist. That's one of the email tools. How to work with Flowdesk. That's the other email tool. How to gather and verify data. There's different methods and tools you can be using for that. We'll show you how to do that. And then links to pretty much every resource that we use in email marketing. We give you everything. There is no other thing. We even gave you our powerhouse, which is Cole Realty Resource. That's it's kind of expensive, but nobody really uses it because it's a little bit expensive. But that that data source for us has been huge. And so we're not holding anything back. We're just giving you guys everything that we're doing that actually works. So with that being said, we're going to actually transition over into Spokane. So Nate, give us about 30 seconds here. Nate, if you could go ahead and unmute yourself, we're going to go ahead and shift this over here. And let's see here. So Nate, go ahead and unmute yourself if you don't mind. What's up, Casey?
Perfect. Okay. So as Austin said, I am the owner of the Spokane branch here in Spokane, of course. We started this, I connected with Garth and Austin and just believed in what they're doing. Social media is obviously one of those things that ties hand in hand with the branding. And so this is very, very key. This is how I close a lot of my deals. And not so much direct correlation with social media, but I'll kind of explain later how to retarget your audience. So that's that. Austin, next slide. Okay, so the closings that I've had that have came through social media have been these. One of my largest listings to date came directly from social media, and this was from just consistent posting. And the daughter of the seller had reached out to me and kind of had tried to get some insight on selling, as I'm sure that a lot of you have experienced. And really, social media is a great way to brand yourself, but also get large listings like this because you're able to show the value that you create. So, next slide. Okay, so what can I be doing to leverage social media? That's a great question. You're good, Austin. You can skip to the next one. So this is a great question because it's something that we all ask ourselves. Is social media even important? Yes, it is. To a lot of you who have kind of been in this industry for a while, it's something that we kind of question. With that being said, social media is something that, like I said, it's a way to retarget your audience. And so the way that I look at this is a way of consistency. Consistency on social media is the biggest thing that you can truly give because no matter what you create, no matter how many lead generation posts that you can do, consistency is going to be the largest thing in creating business for you. So staying top of mind is the absolute biggest thing that you can do. So the 5 mistakes that agents make: posting only real estate related content. This is something that I did a lot of in the beginning. And this was just, I basically had a social media page and I figured, hey, I'm in real estate, so I should just be posting all about that. And that does not work for the main reason of when people choose their real estate agent, they want a friend. That's why they get into business, right? It's why they choose their agent nowadays, is they want somebody who they can relate to. And so if you're only posting about business, think about how many other real estate agents that you follow that just post about business. So that's massive. Posting without a plan, this is huge as well. If you're not using hashtags or location, this can get you in a lot of trouble because you're posting all of this, you're taking a lot of time to create the content. It's a big time waster when it comes to actually posting without a plan because you are going about it mindlessly. Maybe you haven't looked into it enough, and this is something that is very, very important. So with that being said, we're going to kind of touch on a few topics of how we do post with a plan. But like I said, hashtags are huge and location are massive as well. So not creating content or using using any user-generated content. So what does that mean? If you use the Coffee and Contracts app, which, I mean, it's okay. I'm not trying to, get on your bad side here. But if you do use pre-made posts in this way, that is a very dangerous place to be in because, once again, people want to relate with you. And so if you're creating posts based on what you've seen other agents do, or maybe pre-made posts, this is going to be one of those things that lands you in a bit of trouble because you need to be posting things that are actually intentional to you and your business. Not engaging with others. This is also very big. Obviously, you've kind of been there, done that with, if you've had people that have commented on your posts and followed along with this, this is something that it impacts you, right? So you start to think about it. So say that Casey, one of my agents here in Spokane, he comments on all my posts, right? It makes me think of Casey a lot more, so it keeps him top of mind. Austin and Garth actually comment on pretty much all of my stuff, and they kind of try to keep that engagement. So us as the agent, we need to be doing that with all of our followers as well, because it's going to reciprocate that action. And so when you engage with people, when you engage with their posts, and when you follow along with their content, they're going to want to reciprocate that. Not posting, this is also a large trap that we get ourselves into. If you have been on social media, you are all excited about it in the beginning, and you start to just post like crazy, and then maybe things get in the way of it and you start to forget. Consistency with anything in life is the biggest key, especially with social media. So if you aren't posting consistently, you lose a lot of your engagement, you lose a lot of your exposure. So make sure that you are consistent. Followers, if you only have 100 in this case, or even 500, I know that I thought this in the beginning as well, is that, you know, it's only this many people, right? Like, how valuable could that actually be? And the answer is massively. Like, what you do with the small is what you will do with the large. And so treating this as, wow, these are actually 100 faces that are seeing everything that I'm doing, not only in real estate, but in my life. It's a way to reconnect with people. It's a way to network. A great question that I love on this slide is, when was the last time that you spoke in front of 100 people? Okay, now me, I've never spoken in front of 100 people, so I'm sure that you can tell. I mean, right here, right, through the Zoom call. So that's something that, just think about that. I mean, most of us aren't public speakers naturally, and so that's something that, if you actually think about that, look, this is getting in front of 100 different faces. And so sure, it maybe only be 100 followers, but think about that long term. I mean, that is a lot of people that are spreading your name. And if you're creating consistent and intentional content, it's going to make a big difference. Excellent. Okay, I don't know what to post. What makes you you? That's the biggest question. The thing that I was kind of figuring out in the beginning of my social media journey is figuring out that people want to actually learn what makes Nate Nate, right? And so thinking about, you know, stories are huge, but also posts, and kind of explaining about more of what you do and who you are, and just being honest and being real and being down to earth is the most valuable thing that you can do. So pick 5 things that you want to be remembered for, your content pillars. Whether it's faith, relationships, adventure, marketing, and health. My top 3 are God, family, and then business. And so most of my posts, if you do follow me, are mainly about family. It's tough when you get a little bit more listings. You want to start posting about more business and things like that. But it's important to remember that people are following you for you, and not only that you are a real estate agent, but who you are. And that's another thing too. For me, I see a lot more engagement and a lot more kind of creativity within my posts when I'm sharing more about my personal, because at the end of the day, people follow you for who you are. And I think that that's something that we forget sometimes. Like, we're on social media to create a brand, to create a business. But if you're posting and being intentional with who you are and showing your followers your layers and exactly what makes you you, at the end of the day, they remember that you are an agent. And so that's great. Live in the IG and Facebook stories, doing house tours, even open houses I found. And Stuart is he can back me up on this. Open house walkthroughs, those are great. Just being able to stay consistent in whatever you do, whatever kind of walkthrough that is. Obviously, Park Place, we push a lot of more cinematic kind of videography experiences. That's something that has had a large impact in branding me and my brand. And that also can tie into IG and Facebook stories as well. So IG and Facebook stories are, I mean, if you were to think about it, do you spend more time on stories or do you spend more time scrolling? It might be about 50-50, but for me, it's personally stories. And for a lot of people and a lot of consumers, it is stories. And so this is something that if you were to create a post, make sure that you're resharing that, make sure that you're posting a short version of it and just getting it out there. So thank you. So we do have resources for all of this on our website. Obviously, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. Social media is one of those things that is so drastically different for every agent, kind of like what Austin and Garth were touching on in the beginning. It's something that, what works for me might not work for you, but it's something that's so unique to everyone and the way that you use it. However, with the things that we kind of mentioned in this slideshow, it is, tried and true methods. And so this is something to kind of think about, but we will do a lot more trainings on this. And yeah, that's that. So.
Worksheet, you'll also get some Canva templates for social media posting for IG, for Facebook, and for other things as well. So inside of that, you'll have everything from the farming side, the Canva templates for your postcards, for scripts on cold calls, for email marketing, for scripts and slideshows for your first-time buyer consultations and everything else in the resource. So we're going to recap a little bit of what we've gone through today, and then we're going to kind of hone into more specifics at the end.
You're muted and there's no video.
I think that's his computer.
That's just him. Yeah, it's like a weird.
Okay, so let's recap real quick what we learned real quick.
Gotta get to it.
No worries. Let's go next. Okay, so there's 3 different phases that we've talked about tonight. There's the getting started phase. This is where you ain't done nothing. You're about to get into business.
If you've done one deal, you're still there.
No, you go into a little traction, which
Maybe,
is where you've closed a couple of deals, but you're not seeing anything consistently, and then ultimately getting to a lot of traction in your business. And yeah, so we just went through this. So what do you do when you're first in these different stages? When you're first getting started, you need to try anything and everything until you figure out what is going to work for you.
And do it on a scheduled basis. So you want to try a little bit of everything that we talked about today and doing it consistently until you can actually see a result come from one of them, because a result will come from one.
Yep. And if you have a little bit of traction in your business and you're not able to just punch it through and get that consistent deal flow, it's time to do an audit. And once you do that audit, you need to do whatever the results of the audit is.
And actually change what you do. That's the hardest thing, because even when we found what works for us, it's hard to actually implement what you want, what you need to do, because it might be something that you don't enjoy.
Yep. And then when you have a lot of traction, you're just looking for small adjustments that are going to make you a few % better at a time. And then of course we have that resource. We're not going to be able to send it out tonight because we have to edit this video and put it into it. We'll have it in your inbox first thing tomorrow. If you registered for this thing for any location, we'll have it to you in the inbox first thing in the morning.
And without further ado, we're going to introduce Jordan. Sorry, I know you really well. You came to my baby shower.
Can everybody see this right here? Can everybody see this? Get out of here. Get out of here.
It's late, I'm tired.
So I brought pizza for everybody that's here tonight. But the main reason that I want to talk to you is they just covered farming, and farming it's a really big journey. You can get mildly attached to your clients, or you can get very emotionally attached. I close those deals, right? My phone's the one that rings when something happens and you need to get a hold of somebody to keep everything together. I'm your resource. So I'll cover a little bit about Endpoint and what that means. So Endpoint is a technology company that couples with the closing process. It's a hybrid. It's traditional and digital title and escrow at a flat escrow rate, right? It's $1,000 per side, which might be news to some of you today. The goal of it is to make sure buyers and sellers get to pick the way they close, right? Do they want paper? Do they want a little bit more of a traditional experience? Or do they just want to breeze through it? We are going to take them through that journey, and we're going to close. We want to make sure that all of the effort that you put in for those months, weeks, possibly years, when you get to that pivotal moment of handing over the keys or receiving the keys for your clients, that we made that a smooth transaction for them. And so give us a call. I would love to say hi, but that's really all I have to say. I mean, you guys are going to go through a lot, and we want to make sure that we close that out for you.
I closed my personal house with Jordan.
Yeah.
And it goes really, really
Okay.
well.
I don't believe in you.
Yeah. Close the most deals with me. Actually, Dennis, I love you. Dennis might actually close more. But no. You might be close second. Dennis does a lot of investments.
I think he does more investments.
Yeah. So,
Well, I have my personal coming up.
but no, I can't stress, I can't stress enough, right? My phone is always on, and it's really valuable to be able to have somebody to fix or guide through or call your buyers or sellers and just give them that personal touch through closing while also providing the best resources through
As
closing.
an aside, there's no wire fraud through endpoint, and that was the coolest thing.
Well-
That was like the thing that hooked me initially.
I hope none of you guys have experienced wire fraud because it's not good. Yeah. I've only seen it happen 2 or 3 times in Washington since I've been in the industry. And it really is it's a career killer. It's not good. That spreads like wildfire. We're all pretty chatty in the industry. So you guys have any further things you'd like to add before we cut out and eat some pizza?
Yeah, I guess the big question is, does anybody have questions for Jordan?
Your title
Jordan,
and escrow, or what's your company?
Yeah, so Endpoint is a First American company. It's title and escrow. So we're underwritten by First American, but we are self-governed. Yeah, so when you guys get your contracts or if you have a listing coming up, you can open title with us. We are launching a program that'll allow us to open title.
Type your questions into the chat.
Which we can talk about more on a one-on-one basis if you'd like.
Yo, if you guys have questions online, type them into the chat. Does anybody here have any questions for us before we wrap things up? Okay, I know that you guys are about to fall asleep. I hope we weren't that boring. Let's all clap our hands.
And eat some
Ready?
pizza.
Let's go. A little bit louder. A little bit louder. There we go. Okay, now that everybody's woken up, does anybody have any other questions for us?
I have a question for Jordan.
Yes, Dennis,
What do you like
go.
the most?
I'm gonna revert to Dennis on this one just so I can piss off Austin.
Actually, he knows that I won't get mad about it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
actually in Park Place, I haven't had any bad experiences, but I can tell you about an agent that I fired.
They're coming.
The other day, just because, look, it's really important that we work together when we close. And it starts with having buyer and seller contact information, a good relationship between escrow and the agent. And you never want somebody to just be like, yeah, you gotta sometimes you also have to let buyers and sellers go. Don't keep somebody on the hook for too long. Just remember, you can reserve your resources for others.
Can you share their name with us?
No.
I would like to convert that lead.
Yeah, good luck.
No, you would not.
I'll do it. Okay, does anybody have any questions? All right, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Oh my gosh. You guys are all asleep right now.
I got a question.
Yes,
I
Jalen.
actually got a question. Do you guys deal with like a whole bunch of like stress and other problems when like that person hit the fan and it shuts, it just kills the movie?
It's easy. We let it all build up inside, and then one day we have a mental breakdown and tell everybody around us that we hate them. That literally does happen sometimes. I'm sorry.
That's called having a real estate day.
It is.
It's when everything goes bad. And I've had that happen.
I'll be
I think
honest.
one time I was
You
working
can
with
call
Jordan.
me.
You
Yeah.
called Jordan. This
I've
is
had
what-
those calls.
One time I think we were closing, 3 deals on the same day, and there was a problem with every single one of them.
Yeah.
And what I did was I freaked out for 5 seconds, then I called Jordan,
And I
and then
fixed
he
it.
fixed it all.
Mental breakdowns are frequent.
Yeah, no, yeah. Family, resources, call me. I'll walk you through whatever you're going through. And
Psychologists.
Yeah.
Psychiatrists.
I feel like I do play a small psychology role, but that's okay. Like, call me and we can talk about it.
Yeah, and along those lines, a lot of the things that come up with that you stress about and freak out about as a newer agent
What is our
are things that we've dealt with a lot at management level, where it can be super scary to you, but it's like, oh yeah, I've done that 10 times, no worries. So you can call us, call Jordan, we've all probably done it a million times. And if we haven't, we can answer.
Okay. So we don't want you guys to feel like you're held captive here. If you guys have places to go, please,
Yeah.
you guys are good to go at this point. We're just kind of jamming
We
with
will
you.
still judge you though.
That is
No,
actually not
oh,
true.
yeah,
You
we
have
will.
to at least take 4 slices of pizza.
Oh my gosh, let's go.
Um,
All right, go ahead, Garth.
We do have a question. They're asking, what's the process of accepting new agents? So we actually have a link that we would send you. If you're not already a Workplace agent, we can send you a link and you just fill out a form and then the process starts. And within 24 to 48 hours, everything's done from your onboarding to the deal wall to the MLS to a complete brand creation for you to the embedding of all of our software systems and platforms and training tools and everything all happens within 24 to 48 hours.
So if you're gonna be in
I
the,
hope that answered the question. We can
No,
also
it's-
we can write the link in the chat. So there's actually a link that you
Join
can go.
Also, if you're gonna join the Bellevue, Federal Way, or Olympia offices, I really recommend setting up a time where I can meet with you guys and kind of have a conversation and see what would be your strengths in your business, that kind of stuff to help you get started. If you're gonna be in Spokane, set up a meeting with Nate.
Perfect. Okay. Well, if we don't have any other questions.
All right.
No, wait.
You know what? Doug has a
What?
question.
We were supposed to keep it silent and see what everybody did about it.
Oh,
That was
Yeah,
lame.
Doug's got a question.
I got a bunch of questions that we don't have time for.
we have time for it. We have time.
Let's
for
go,
it.
bro.
What's up?
Ask one.
I'm just putting him on the spot. He didn't actually raise his hand.
Oh, what?
I don't really have a question.
What up? Oh.
Pay for that pizza?
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
Enough.
It's a really nice pizza.
It's Zeke's.
It's Zeke's.
All of them.
It's pretty much the best pizza you'll ever have, Doug. So
It's up there.
you're
It's
welcome.
great.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. If you guys need anything, just hit us up. We're here to help you guys any way that we can.
And
What is a good budget?
sorry, Spokane office, we're not quite there yet. You guys are still on your own out there, but I'm sure it's going well.
A budget for a farm of 300. What's it? It just kind of depends on what you're working with and what you want to do.
We've done budgets as cheap as like $10 a month because we went door to door to door while door knocking and using just printed random pieces of paper. And we've done that. And we've also spent about $1,000 a month on a farm of 300. So it depends on the prices that you're working, the way that you want to go about it. If you're trying to be budget friendly, there's ways to do that. It's about making it personal and making sure that you're typing things out personalized and just using print paper instead of super high quality brochure stuff that you're purchasing.
I'll ask a question to both of you. Do you guys provide the farm list to your agents?
Oh, gosh.
Or is that me?
I love how you work. I love how you work.
That's me. So if you guys need an actual farm before you guys get into the process, call me. I'll work up the farm. We'll go over the details of if you want single family residence, condos, townhouses, waterfront. I think Stuart
I just sent you one hell of a list.
picked every lake from Canada down to Tacoma and making whole farms.
It was
So
only
I'll-
5 lakes.
Yeah, we'll work together to find out what you guys are targeting. Pull the right farm for you. Make sure it's a viable farm. It's not too much, and we'll let these guys as resources
Yeah.
work for you.
And then Kareem asks, how do you deal with rejection? And I would like to answer this because it's something I've had a realization of lately. Over time, you just kind of get used to it.
You
and
don't
it
even
doesn't bother
feel
you.
it after a while. That's the answer.
It starts to take more to affect you. Like when you first get into the business, you're gonna get upset and want to quit over anything. Like somebody just like, you're gonna get out of the business over that. Like that's how you feel when you're getting started. But after you've been in it for time and time again, it's just like rejection. Don't ever call me again. I don't like you. Stop spamming my email.
We had a guy come because we door knocked his house. He came out of the house and
Chased
he
us down.
He chased us down and he's like, I'm gonna get my gun. You won't got my baby. Do you remember that? We were in Maple Valley and we were doing farming in Maple Valley and we were doing hundreds of homes. At that time, we did like a marathon in a day. Literally, we did 26 miles of door knocking and flyer dropping and everything else. And yeah, so until you've had that type of experience, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I will also say real estate is massively a numbers game. One rejection just means I just got one more closer to getting a yes. It's true.
Doug.
Rita.
What would we charge like our neighbor kid to just go hand out our farm cheap?
How much do you like the neighbor?
Always said, like, go out
Sweatshops
there,
are a topic for another time.
But I just want to have like some neighbor kids.
Sometimes-
nothing to do with their life.
$20, bro.
$20.
What-
Like a per.
Or something.
Per house, maybe? I mean, make a deal.
It depends. How much do you like the kid?
Because you're gonna find your flyers tossed. So you want.
So all-
you wanna wait
I was
and make
thinking about,
sure
like,
that you can
number of people that hit.
Oh, here's a pro tip. Okay, you use tape and you tell them you have to put it on the key lock, right? So number one, the people have to go to the key lock, and then because you don't want to put the tape on the door because people will yell at you because they're afraid of their door paint for whatever reason. And so you put it on the door lock. So you have them go around and do it, and then when they're done, you just drive the neighborhood and you'll see all of them on the door locks, and that
This
way you
is
know it's
bringing
done.
back bad memories.
So I want to really
Bad.
quickly circle back to rejection because when I first started, and I still do today, cold calls, and it's good to warm up in the morning. Call a friend, call a coworker, come into the office and just BS with somebody. Warm up your voice, warm up your personality, warm yourself up, because then it makes it easier to actually engage with people. Tonality plays a lot in how people
100%.
respond to you on the phone. You just got to wake up in the morning knowing that it just doesn't click. You don't just turn on. Warm up, talk to somebody. Like, my wife hates me in the morning. I wake up, I have a cup of coffee, and I chat her ear off for like 45 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to roll. And she's like, don't come back down for a while. Go talk to somebody else.
And that gets the rejection part
Yes,
taken care of.
exactly. Right? That's rejection. And I go home and I'm like, oh.
Rena, go ahead, and then we'll go to the chat.
I had a quick question for you. Are you full service?
Yeah.
Title and escrow?
Yeah.
Anything I can go to
You
First
can.
American or?
No, you
wherever
call
I
me.
come
So
to you?
endpoint. So we're owned by First American. It's going to be an
Okay.
Eagle policy issued for title, but we're full service. So it'd be endpoint for title and escrow. You can call me for any resource. I had somebody ask me the other day, they just bought an investment property. Hey, look, what do you think that this would go for nightly in this area? I helped him comp out that investment property in Ocean Shores.
Okay.
So you call me. I'm a resource. I'm human, just like you guys. We're all trying to accomplish the same things, right?
He's
Call
a
me.
superhuman.
Yeah.
I don't know how he deals with it.
Is your information going to be in with all of our resources?
I'm going to email it to you guys.
Absolutely not.
I will email it to you guys individually because if you have a one-on-one question, it's not going to be in a bulk email. Like,
Right.
let's connect and we'll
Yeah,
find out what you need.
he'll send you an email.
Yeah.
To everybody. So there's a question that says, do we get more transactions from strangers or family and friends?
Right.
I heard that people close to you don't feel comfortable using
Strangers.
you. And the answer is that's true, partly. And the other part is once you've grown a big enough business, you only have so many family and friends, which is why we're focusing so heavily today on stuff that's repeatable and scalable towards cold traffic. Because if you're not getting your warm traffic, you don't have a hope in this business. You have to at least try to convert your warm traffic, your family and your close friends. You should be able to convert them. The only reason they won't work with you is because they're not completely sure of your competency. And as long as you go to those appointments like you would any other appointment and you still try to earn that business, even though they're family, you should still be able to win it. The biggest thing I've seen as a problem is when people get that appointment with a family member or a close friend, and then they come into the appointment with sweats or whatever, and then they're still interviewing more than just you. Even though you're good friends or your family, they're probably still interviewing 3 or 4 other people. And so then you're coming in looking unpresentable and sloppy, and you feel like you have it already put together, so you didn't do a CMA, and you're not doing your proper presentation like we built out for you guys. And that's going to be what results in losing the business. Not necessarily that they don't trust you, it's that you didn't come across in a way that they deemed professional enough to work with in the first place.
Then I would echo this, right? Your family and friends have been there your whole life. We are not all perfect, right? They've seen your ups and downs. My mother-in-law didn't start working with me until one of her coworkers referred me. Remember that. They know you. They know who you are, right? So it's very easy for you to go on and introduce yourself fresh to somebody that does not know you. It's very hard to go up to that uncle that saw you do that one thing when you were 15 and say, hey, you want to sell your house with me? Like that's a big leap of faith. It's really good to start fresh, right? If you
David
get in
didn't
front of
even
enough
sell his
people-
own uncle's house.
It's true.
In the past 12 months, I've sold 5 of my close family members' houses. Last month, my sister and her new husband just went and bought a house, did not use me because they weren't comfortable exposing their finances to me. So, you can't get offended by it. Everybody's got their own reasons, but yeah, definitely we come from strangers more than family.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and end this. Again, we'll have the resource in your inbox first thing tomorrow. If you guys have questions, feel free to reach out to us direct. We'll be hanging out around here for a little bit, eating some pizza. Thank you guys so much for giving us your time.
So my
4 pieces minimum.
pizza.
All right, thank you all. And thank you everybody that joined us on the Zoom. We appreciate it and we look forward to talking to you all after this.